Welcome into the doors of psychic experience and star people. Thank you for tuning in. Ask and you will be given what you asked for. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened. For everyone who asks receives. Anyone who seeks finds. If only you will knock, the door will open, and the truth within your higher self will be revealed to you. Come with us now and go with us where angels come, and so can you.
Welcome to our show, Psychic Experience and Star People. It's being presented by the First Spiritualist Church in the City Heights area of San Diego, just 1 block south of University Avenue. It's a church where angels come, and so can you, any Sunday. I'm Reverend Doris Horvath, the co-producer and your host. This is show number 132. I want to tell you the contents of this show are metaphysical, spiritual, and educational. Now, if you're looking for a church that has unusual vibrations, the First Spiritualist Church may be your answer. We have a very different approach to religion. We believe in life after death and the continuation and communications with spirit after death. Our church is also a healing and teaching church. Every Sunday morning, we offer aura healing, spiritual music, and interesting and enlightening lectures, followed by spiritual psychic messages. In the afternoon, we have a delicious lunch, workshops, classes, Reiki healing, and movies, and more if you're looking for something different than the fundamental churches. This may be your answer. We also have a children's lyceum every first Sunday morning, beginning at 10:45 a.m. and ending right after the worship service. You can come see us any Sunday morning in the City Heights area of San Diego. Please look in your phone book for our phone number and address, or call for information for the First Spiritualist Church and listen to the information line. Now, we have very interesting guests on our show, and today we have a lady who's traveled all the way from Los Angeles to be here. Her name is Laurie Spagna, and I'd like her to say hello to the audience.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Okay.
I'm so happy to be here.
Okay. May I ask you some questions so the TV audience will get an idea of what you do professionally?
For sure, I would love that.
Okay. I'm going to start that off with your bio and then the questions. Laurie Spagna is a professional intuitive, animal communicator, energy healer, and canine behavioral expert who is certified in animal communication, Theta Healing, Reiki, and Akashic records, and canine behavioral training and other energy healing techniques. Laurie radically changed her life after a series of near-death experiences while living in Miami. She now teaches humans how to tap into their true connection to the universal source which exists in us all. And what are the animals already know? And are we here to teach, and are they here to teach us humans something? Now I'm going to ask the questions. And I do this so that the television audience will get an idea of where Laurie's really coming from. So first of all, I'd like to ask you, what is your background?
Well, I actually have always been working with animals, and I worked in corporate America for almost 20 years, and I was going off and volunteering on weekends in service to animals, doing rescue work with animals all around the world, and also in between my jobs. So I worked with all different kinds of animals, orangutans, bats, sea lions, seals, whales, and of course, gerbils, guinea pigs, and of course dogs and cats and pigs and rabbits and those kinds of animals. And I just eventually got to the point where I realized I wanted to spend my whole life, all of my life, working directly with animals. So I left corporate America and started working as a canine behavioral expert, a trainer, a dog trainer. And I was hired by someone who spent 20 years training government service dogs to get trained by him. And I worked under his tutelage for quite a while. And then I went off on my own and started my own business doing canine behavioral training. However, what I really wanted to do was I really wanted to start working more with the metaphysical world that I had already been doing and incorporate that into my practice. So I got certified in the Reiki and some of these alternative practices, Theta Healing, animal communication, and further develop my skills there. So I started adding that in.
Now, how did you get involved with animal communications?
Well, I really thought what I was sort of doing when I was working in corporate America was just wanting to be of service to animals. That was kind of my mantra was, how can I be of service to animals on a global scale? How can I be of service to animals on a global scale? And I didn't really know what that meant. I thought I was just going to be a great dog trainer. I didn't always know that what I was really going to end up doing was becoming what I call a light worker, which is in service to all the animals of the planet, even the human variety, because we're all, a different kind of animal. So really, when I went away to Maui for 2 years, and I started really connecting with animals there on a much deeper level, and sort of tapping into this universal source, God source, force, the quantum fields, whatever you want to call it, and learning that we all can tap into that and that the animals are already tapped into it.
Then how does an animal communicator work?
Well, it's really interesting because actually we're using, us psychics, because we're all psychic. It's just that some of us are really more tapped into it than others, right?
Right.
So we're using parts of our bodies that the animals never stopped learning or never stopped using. So we have parts of our bodies like an endocrine glands that are sensory glands. We can sense energy. And parts of our brains, like a theta brainwave. And this theta brainwave is a brainwave that is sort of like a gateway to connect with universal intelligence. And the animals are already doing that. So when I'm working with an animal directly, I'm just tapping into them through those parts of my body, those endocrine sensory glands and that theta brainwave, so that I can have a dialogue with them.
What is the scientific evidence behind animal communications?
Yeah. There's all kinds of research being done and has been done for so long about the intelligence of animals and the inner wisdom that they have. So what we know is that the animals have a very, very strong developed right brain, which is the feeling, sensing part of the brain, whereas us humans, we're using mostly our left brain. And so we don't always realize that if we sort of get out of that left brain, that's the logical brain, that if we start tapping into that right brain, that's the feeling, intuitive side that senses things and knows things. And they're already there. They're already doing it because they don't have to think about, they don't really have to think about, am I going to make dinner? What am I going to make for dinner tonight? Or, am I going to go to work? And is my boss going to give me a raise? Those things, they're not thinking about that. So they're just already really tapped into that right hemisphere of their brain that just really understands and senses and knows and can really have answers that we humans are too busy in our left brains trying to figure out. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, what's the difference then between animal communication and psychic communication?
Yeah. Well, in psychic communication, we're basically really connecting straight with Source, Creator, God, right? The quantum field, if you're assigned, it depends on how you define it. But with animal communication, we're having a direct communication directly with the animal that we're speaking or communicating with. So it's just more like, instead of tapping into source, creator, God energy, the divine, and asking for guidance or wisdom from that all-knowing source, in this case, we're just directly connecting with the animal's innate awareness and intelligence.
Can you give some real-life examples that's happened to you?
Yeah, for sure. There's so many. The animals have so much wisdom. So, I mean, in some cases, one of my favorite examples is that I was working with a horse when I was living in Maui. And this horse, I had never met this horse before. And the horse was actually on a different island. I was in Maui and the horse was on Oahu. And I was working with a picture of this horse. And so I connected with the horse, and I just was getting this one very clear message: go below the knee, go below the knee. And I didn't understand what that meant. So I went back to the human, the parent of the horse. And by the way, I don't say owner, because I don't believe you can own a living being, right? So I went back to the parent of the horse and I said, I'm not sure what this means and I don't understand why, but this is the only message I keep getting from this horse is go below the knee. And the parent of the horse says, yes, well, we had to amputate below the knee. There was, an accident, a problem with the knee. So, and I said, okay, great. Don't tell me anything else, because obviously I'm getting an authentic connection here with this horse. So I go back and reconnect with the horse, and this is what I get from the horse. There's people around me, bad people, and they're trying to kill me. They want to kill me, and I want them to go away. I want to live. Tell them to go away and let me live. And I would like some carrots. So I go back to the parent of the horse, and I communicate this to the parent. I say on the phone or via email to the parent, and the parent says, oh my goodness, that's exactly right. We were determining, should we euthanize this horse?
Oh my.
But now that you said that, we're gonna get a prosthetic device for the horse's leg, which they did. And the horse, is, as far as I know, is still alive, living happily. Amazing, right?
You saved the horse's life.
I think maybe, yeah. This is, yeah.
What do animals know that humans don't know?
They know so much that we don't give them enough credit, Reverend Doris, for everything they know. They are so wise. Of course, they teach us all kinds of lessons about how to be, living in the moment and experiencing joy and happiness and love and kindness and compassion and forgiveness. And all these things are quite evident. But even deeper than that, they are teaching us how to tap into the language of energy, which is our connection, our own connection to the divine, the source, the creator. Because when we start tapping into that field of energy, which is where they're already tapped into, we can really start to see our own inner wisdom, our own inner power, our own inner connection by learning that language of energy. So our animal companions, indeed all of the animals, are teaching us how to do that through our love for them as their companions. Yeah, does that make sense?
Oh, most definitely. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Then how do others learn to communicate with animals?
Well, this is so incredible. Anyone can learn how to do it. This is part of what I teach. I teach others how to do it. And one of the best things we can do is start to recognize that even though animals don't speak the same language as us, like we speak the language English or French or Italian or, German or Hispanic, the animals don't speak those languages necessarily, although they do understand these words if they're around us speaking them, they can learn them. However, what the animals really, what they're really doing is we can communicate with them just by learning this language of energy, which is a universal language of love. That's what the animals speak. They speak a universal language of love. So as we speak to them, knowing that every word that we say has a vibration, carries a vibration, because everything's a vibration of energy. We know that scientifically. Then as we speak a language, the language that we speak carries this vibration and they understand the vibration. So we are already communicating with our animals. They're already reading the energy. And as we start to become conscious of it, then we're learning to speak it with them. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how many years back it was, but my daughter and I tried an experiment on this big gray and white tomcat that we had inherited from the neighbors. We decided that we would try to find out if we could psychically send the cat commands and if he would respond.
Yeah.
So the two of us and I sat down and concentrated on the cat, who was nicely, peacefully sleeping where he usually slept, in the dining room. And our message that we were giving him was he had to get up and walk towards us. Well, after about 15 minutes, when we were just about exhausted, the cat got up and walked right up to us and looked up at us like he wondered what was going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it worked.
It does.
Yeah.
It really does. And the thing is, the animals, they have a free will. They'll do, they're going to do what they want. They have free will just like we do. Mm-hmm. That's the law of the universe, right? That's the number one gift of God to us, is our free will. However, when they understand that your intentions are benevolent and that you're in alignment with them, and you get in alignment as you did with this cat, they are so responsive, as you saw. They really are.
Yeah, it was a very interesting experiment.
Yeah, and everyone can try that. It works.
And I'm going to ask you a question that I wasn't supposed to ask you. Can you tell us why the animals get into our dreams?
Yeah. Because a lot of times, when humans are sleeping, sometimes that becomes the easiest way to get through to us. Because what happens when we're sleeping? We're in another brainwave. We're in a delta brainwave. And we're not so busy thinking in that monkey mind, that left brain where we're just analyzing and thinking and figuring out. So we're more receptive to hearing their messages. Mm-hmm. And since they are already tapped into the source, creator, God, they can reach us there. So they know they can come into our dreams and connect with us there and communicate. Yeah. Have you had experiences where
Oh, yes, I've had that experience with my last cat. He came to me in a dream and told me he didn't want to get reincarnated again. He was going to go on.
Yeah. Yeah. In many cases, that's so amazing. Yes, for sure.
And I really wanted to find another cat that looked just like him, but he told me not to do it.
He was ready to move on.
Yeah, he was.
In so many ways. And sometimes they do choose that. They can choose just to go on and be angels or masters, light workers without bodies, for sure, light beings.
On another vein here of this, what is the energy healing work that you do with animals?
Yeah. Well, I've done lots of energy healing work with animals. Like one of my very recent clients, the dog that I was working with there, the gentleman's animal companion, had really horrible skin allergies and skin issues. And so I was doing some of the Reiki and a combination of different energy work with this dog. And in an hour and a half, I just really was communicating and getting the message to the human that the animal wanted his human to know. So once the animal knew that the human got the message and received it, and then we did this healing with the Reiki and different energy healing, the animal right away, immediately, after an hour and a half, started to show signs of progress, that dramatic. And the my client, the animal companion's parent, guardian, immediately called me the very next day. I was like, I can see results already. Isn't that amazing? And only a few weeks later, he called me again and said, I can't believe it. After years of working with vets on this skin issue and skin tests and allergy tests and food changes and all of that, the skin is finally healing. Amazing, right?
That certainly is.
Yeah.
Well, I need to ask this other question here, because this is what we're all going through right now. And I'm sure the animals have noticed that everything feels different. What do our animals know about the shift of consciousness?
Yeah.
2012, and how can they help us go
Yeah.
through this time?
Yeah. So there's a shift of consciousness going on. Thank you for asking that, because the animals already know what's happening. They are already tuned into it energetically, vibrationally. The vibrational of the planet is shifting. We're moving into a higher vibrational frequency, which is going to be all about love and kindness and compassion and understanding and connectedness between all beings, knowing that we're all connected in this earth world that we live in. And as we move through this shift, the animals are helping us to raise our vibration through the love that they share with us and this message of energy. And they're helping us to elevate our consciousness, our conscious, to recognize our interconnectedness through all of us. And so they're teaching us, and they're all teaching us. The whales, the dolphins, all of the animals on the planet know about this. They already know, and they're helping us work through it, helping us to raise the vibration of our own planet. Isn't that amazing?
It is. And what can you tell us about why was it that the elephants on that island where there's a tsunami knew there was going to be a disaster, and they walked away from the city up to the mountains?
Yeah.
They
because
knew.
Because they're already tuned into the Earth's vibration. So they understand when these incredible shifts are happening, they already can hear, feel, sense, experience the vibration even before it comes. That's part of their innate connection. So they can kind of, because they're in harmony with the Earth, they don't have to be taken down, so to speak, with any of these natural disasters that are happening through this shift. They are tuned in energetically, in harmony with the Earth, and they're teaching us to be in harmony with the Earth too, for our own evolution and survival. That is really the message of the shift, is just to get in harmony with the Earth in every way, shape, and form, so we can all survive and thrive and continue to exist as we evolve. It's beautiful. Yeah.
What do you think happened with those animals that were had to be put down because they escaped from the jail that they were living in? The animal reached. I know it was a farm or a zoo, what it was.
Yeah.
What do you think about those animals that had to be taken down?
Yeah.
And because they were let loose.
That's such a sad story, really. That was a gentleman who was, I think he had a lot of exotic animals, and then he had terminated his own life, right? I think that's what happened, if I remember the story correctly. And then all those wild animals went. But so, on one level, those animals basically sacrifice. On a soul level, they sacrifice themselves to teach us about compassion. Because of course, when these horrible kinds of things happen, we go to a place within us where we can have compassion and kindness, and that is so important in this shift. And on the other hand, what really happened was it was a voice of fear in the human, because this is like the aggressive humans having to just kill and shoot things just because they're afraid, they don't understand. But in point of fact, if they had even possibly connected with an animal communicator, maybe that might have not been necessary. If it wasn't so fear-based, being afraid of these animals, that they just have to carelessly gun them down, right? You know, it was just so sad.
Very sad story.
Yeah.
Well,
On the other hand, on a soul level, you know, we all make agreements on a soul level. Mm-hmm. So we know that the animals on a soul level agreed to that so that they could teach us to be more compassionate and more loving and less fearful.
well, I'm sure that the animals could reincarnate.
Yeah.
Just like we can reincarnate.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there really is no death, right? We shed a skin, we shed the skin, or our soul might leave, the body, but in point of fact, we just never do die. The energy that exists within us, the life force, never ends, never dies. And for sure, animals teach us about that too, because they're teaching us about the fact that life continues always, the intelligence that even our animals who leave us, they never really leave us.
Well, we're just about ready to close now. I want to thank you very much for coming all this way to be on our show. And I would like to tell the audience to please get some paper to write down our phone number at the end of the show, so you can call the First Spiritualist Church, and they will relay to me if you would like to ask questions about Laurie and get her phone number or other information. And of course, my phone number is in the telephone book as well. And I don't mind having a phone call. So remember the First Spiritualist Church, where angels come and so can you. Any Sunday. We'll be happy to see you, and bring a friend. And God bless you, and thank you for watching, and keep watching. And goodbye for now.
Thank you.